Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So everything's still very quiet across the tropics. You look down, and one of the main areas we watch this time of the year, down across the Caribbean, and you're still looking at that large amount of wind shear down across the Caribbean. Remember, that's what we talked about a couple of days ago. Colorado State came out and updated their forecast for the season, backing off on those numbers just a little bit. And a big part of it was because of the strong wind shear that we've been seeing across portions of the Caribbean and the persistence of this. That combined with sea surface temperatures, while they're warm, they're not as warm as they were, say, a year ago. So some of these things have kind of led to maybe back off on these numbers, but still, we're expecting to see plenty of activity as we go through the season. So you look across the Gulf and we do have lighter winds right now, but you notice there's just nothing going on right now. And that's because we have this ridge of high pressure, so that high that suppresses any activity. And that's why everything is very, very quiet as you look across the Gulf. And then you look further out into the Atlantic and you're not really seeing much in the way of any significant tropical waves. Now, some of the models are starting to indicate as we go through the next week or so, we're likely to start to see some more tropical waves starting to get a little bit more active. Of course, that makes sense as we head towards the end of July, heading into August. We do expect to see more of these tropical waves starting to hold their own a little bit more, and we get some of that dry air to move out, that dry Saharan dust. That may eventually lead to the development of one of those systems, but at least for now, things are looking quiet. You're not seeing any of these waves really doing a whole lot. There's that dry Saharan dust now working its way into, say, the Eastern Caribbean, and this is going to continue to work its way on towards the west. So as we look at that dust tracker, watch how this just continues to move in that westerly track right across one of these areas that you would expect to be looking this time of the year. That is the Caribbean. That's where you're watching for a lot of these systems to try and develop and then work their way on to the north. And then you see a lot of this spreading over the Gulf and even into South Florida as we head through the weekend, likely going to be dealing with at least some of that dust around. So as you look at that tropical cyclone outlook, you do see that large swath all the way through about the 22nd of really a lot of dry air, drier than average. But you're also noticing this shade right here across the Gulf, the central and the eastern Gulf, for that possibility. It's low that we could see something develop. And the reason why, there's a kind of an complicated pattern that's going to start to set up as we go through the next couple of days. You look at the moisture levels here, and we're going to see a big return of that moisture over the state. We actually have an upper level low, which is going to be pushing from the east and then working its way back into the Gulf as we head into about the middle of next week. And that will help to suppress and move that ridge away from us. So as you look at the various computer models, looking at the European AI and the GFS, you're really not seeing much going on. Here we are, Tuesday of next week. Then as we head towards about Wednesday, you're starting at least with the GFS to see maybe a very broad area of low pressure, but you're not seeing this in any of the other models. So we're not getting any real consensus among the models. We fast forward a little bit, and here, even with the GFS, it's still very broad, really not developing at all. What we're really looking at this point is just a lot of moisture working its way into the Gulf. So we're going to see our rain chances going up over Florida as we head into the first and the middle of next week. But we will watch to see if things change with this and we start to see more development with this, start to see more consensus among the models, because at this point, you're just not seeing anything definite at this point. So we'll watch this and we'll keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.